And those smells, they'll stick with you. So, and you don't forget them. He was literally mummified. In my 17 years, we've never been called back because we missed something. I would be happy if I never got another call, which means that we didn't have to deal with another death of a family member somewhere.
Kevin Barnes, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Could you just tell a little bit about yourself and what you do to those that don't know what a crime scene cleaner is?
Okay. My name's Kevin Barnes. I'm the owner of 911 Trauma Squad. We do crime scene cleanups for the families of homicides, suicides, unattended death, decomp bodies. We'll even do meth houses where somebody's been producing meth. So we do the full crime scene cleanup. We also do that pro bono for the families who cannot afford to pay a bill. We'd much rather have it done safely and put them back in there than having them go back into an unsafe environment. So it starts from the moment it's released from the police department or the coroner, that we're contacted either by the department, the family, or an insurance company saying we have a hazardous situation. Could you come out and take a look at it?
And how often do you get these calls? Like, would you say in a week or in a day?
It varies. Towards the holiday season, there are quite a few for the suicides. During the summer, we get a lot of them in the heat of the days where you get the high temperatures and people are on edge. And so they get in a fight. The fight escalates to a shooting. Shooting escalates to homicide. And so it varies. We can go a month without a call.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine with me. I mean, I would be happy if I never got another call, which means that we didn't have to deal with another death of a family member somewhere. Yes.
So kind of like take me through like what would a day be where there is a crime or a crime already happened? What does that day look like? Say you get the call in the morning, the night before?
It varies. I've gotten 3 calls within an hour before. We'll use an example. Here in Lawrence, Kansas, we had an incident at the city hall, if you're familiar with that one.
Yep, I remember.
Okay. That incident was cleared. Everything was removed, evidence-wise that they needed to get out. Then we received the call, said, hey, can you come down and take care of this? So upon arrival, I do 2 things. I usually go down and assess something. I'll go down and see what I need. I have 2 different trucks using 2 different forms of equipment. If I have a lot of removal, I'll take a trailer with me. This particular case, we were able to do everything within our standard truck. So you go in and you just assess. Obviously, every situation we do PPE, that's personal protection equipment, from the gloves to the full suit, mask if we need it, respirator if needed. And we go from there. We remove all the biohazard. We make a safe zone. And then that safe zone, that's where if I have a helper with me, that person stays within that safe zone. So I will bring biohazard out, put it in the bags. We use biohazard bags, obviously. We have special waste permits with KDHE. So when we have biohazard, we can have disposed of that way. So once we clean everything, we go back through it and we reassess it again using an indicator to see what I've missed. We have big lights that, because of blood spatter from a gunshot, can actually rotate and go to the backside of a wall from the velocity of it. We just make sure everything's done to the standard and above, that we don't want to be called back. And in my 17 years, we've never been called back because we missed something. So that's primarily what we would do.
So with that example, they call you an hour before they've already cleaned everything up?
They don't, they just, in cases,
their evidence?
Well, yeah, they've removed their evidence, what they need. They don't actually clean up anything.
Okay.
Well, just City Hall. Are you familiar with the Sasco? The guy that owned the pizza. Oh my goodness, there was a high profile one here. Cece's Pizza.
Oh yeah, Cece's Pizza. I remember that.
Right, we did that one. We do high profile, we do low profile, we do all of those cleanups. In that particular case, it was a huge crime scene,
Mm-hmm.
meaning there were evidence tags from one end of the house to the other. The incident may not have occurred all over the house, but the evidence tag. So when we clean up that crime scene, we're cleaning up every inch of that house, removing tags, cleaning the walls, cleaning everything up. So it's a very clean and safe environment.
And you mentioned that during these crime scenes, sometimes you guys find other clues or items that the police might have
right. And case in point, didn't mean to interrupt you. The Super 8 hotel over here on North Lawrence had a shootout. When CSI gets there from the police department, they usually, in this particular case, they opened up the door. They put their door stop in there so they could go in and out, so they wouldn't have to keep opening and closing the door. When they did that, it rolled a live shell. So if you engage a 9mm, you chamber it, had one in it, so it discharged that first round. Oh. They did not realize that, and one that was at the door, it rolled with the door. So they closed the door. They put their evidence tag on there sealing that. And I get the call at that point. It was from Detective Thomas. Said, hey, this one's ready to go. Head down there and clean. Well, I got there, and when I opened the door, I heard this move with the door. So I closed the door, let it close, and I heard it did it again. So pushed the door open, got on the ground and looked, and there was a live round rolling with the door. In that case, I contacted the detective. I said, hey, I've got a live round here. He said, that's awesome. We could not find that. That puts the shooter in the room, so it helps them. So we just back out. We stand there until they get CSI back down there to pick up that evidence. Okay. So
has there ever been any, like, with kind of like similar to that, where it was like a really big help to like the case where you found like evidence like that?
We have found guns in walls up in Topeka. The guy, the Bloods and the Crips, you've heard of those gangs. One lived across the street from the other. They had a little shootout. And he took his gun, little 25 caliber, for whatever reason. He was using a small weapon and had a hole in the wall, dropped it down into the wall. He in turn flooded his basement by breaking water lines. This set for a long period of time. House molded up. We got the call. And when we were actually doing the mold cleanup on this particular property and removing the walls, we found the weapon inside the wall. Okay. So we contacted them. They in turn contacted ATF. ATF goes, don't touch that weapon. We need that weapon. So we in turn let them come out and get that weapon. And so, yeah, we've done things like that. It's not a common thing, but we do pay attention. My whole family comes from law enforcement, so I have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done. Been around it long enough.
Okay. So just like speaking on this, like what part surprised you the most when you first started?
To God be the glory to start with on this, because when you go into a crime scene, you know there's a human life taken. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. You know the devastation that you see. From day one, it's never fazed me. And it's kind of I spoke to some of the chaplains about that, and they say at some point it's going to affect me. And 500 plus cleanups, suicides, homicides. To this day, I have not really been super bothered by any of them. So you get used to seeing the smells are horrendous. The brain matter, the quantities of blood, just seeing the actual body from the suicide. We're there sometimes when the body's still there. A child, who commits suicide, it affects you when you know you have kids. But I don't take it home with me. I'm done when I'm done with the job. And so I have the ability and the gift to be able to just shut it off and go do my job and go back to eating dinner or whatever I was doing prior to the fact.
So you spoke on there being like horrendous smells and stuff like that. Like, what would you compare the smell to?
Oh, there's nothing to compare it to. I've done decomp bodies, and I'll go as far as way as needed to help a family. Clay Center, Kansas is about a 2-hour drive. got a call that Grandpa was upstairs asleep in his bed in the attic, no heat, in August. So he was there for almost 6 weeks.
Oh wow.
I'd show you the pictures, but yeah, they won't do you justice
Yeah.
from the smell. He had literally mummified. So every bit of him, and when we pass or die, our body's basically 80% water. So he went through the mattress, the box springs, through the carpet, through the pad, through the subfloor, down to that space, through the drywall on the next floor down below,
Oh wow.
and into the living room floor. So when you turn in the soup, you go down. Well, when the body decomposes and starts that process, you have blowflies, maggots, and the whole process takes. And that smell is permanent into walls, obviously the bedding, the flooring. So all of that's removed. And so, yeah, everybody smells different from the decomp from 3 days to 6 days to 12 days to 8 weeks. And depending upon the body composition prior to the fact. Heavy person, I just did one the other day, laid on the couch for 4 days is all. This gentleman was about 5'3", weighed about 325 pounds.
Wow.
Big human being.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have cancer in our bodies, it's a different smell. Every smell's bad. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I can actually enter a room without having put on a respirator just to assess it.
Okay.
The smell stays in your clothing, stays in your truck when you get in your truck.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to clean that too. And all of our suits, we throw them away when we're done because you can't clean those.
Mm-hmm.
So same with the shoes. We have different shoes and booties we wear because some of it's unseen. And those smells, they'll stick with you. So, and you don't forget them.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with car wrecks. Pulled up on many of car wrecks where the blood, the antifreeze, the transmission fluids, the radiator, all of that smell combined together, probably sticks with you more than the decomp does.
Okay.
So yeah, there's different smells every time.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that the gentleman was there for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What's the longest you've seen someone actually be there for?
We had one here in Lawrence over off of Delaware. I want to say, if I remember this right, because I've had so many of them, but I do remember pretty much all of them, it was close to almost 4 months. Again, the case was he was at the top. He had family members that lived in Wichita. Every window in this house had become glazed over because of the fumes. The blowflies were thousands upon thousands in the house. He was literally mummified. He'd been there that long.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just, you can pick a body up, roll them up in sheets, but when you're mummified, you're there. It's beyond rigor mortis stage, so everything, it's a dark body basically, just turns black. And, that particular case, I took the time to ask the family, why didn't anybody call and check on their dad? Because that's your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You live in Wichita. You're 3 hours away. It took you 6 months to realize. And the person who found him was the mailman. He finally said, you know what? The grass is growing all summer long. The mail's packed up in the mailbox and newspapers, and nobody checked on him. Mm-hmm. 6 month total.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's so many clues that you can see, but people just don't want to get involved, don't want to pay attention, and really just don't care in today's world.
Do you find that to be very common? Like when you see these bodies being there for more than a week or so?
Yeah, well, I've seen, we've done suicides where, we'll say, I call them children. I'm 66 years old, so anybody younger than me is a child. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. So this young man got in an argument with his girlfriend. She broke up with him, and he took his life in the living room in the middle of the day. We were called in to do our cleanup. When we were there doing our cleanup, family members were trying to take items that belonged to him because they said they're literally fighting over the TV set, the stereo, car parts, things like that. To me, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's your brother who just passed away to suicide, and you guys are arguing about car parts and TVs and trying to take the TVs off the wall while we're in here working. At that point, I just removed everybody from the property. So you see everything.
So when you're cleaning, sometimes the family is allowed in there?
No, they're not.
They're not?
No, they're not. They just came in and started doing. When I'm at a crime scene, that room is sealed off usually.
Okay.
There are families in the home, don't get me wrong, but I don't let them come into this area. This particular case was lower end family, and I'm not belittling that. They just didn't have a lot. And this was a shared house by probably, I don't know, maybe 12 family members. And a lot of drugs were being used there. And so they wanted to get what they could get of value out of that house. So no, we don't allow people to come into it's a crime scene still until we're done.
Okay.
And we release it back to the family or the insurance company. That's how we treat it.
Okay. And like usually like when something like that happens in someone's house, does that person like end up like, have you seen where they end up like selling the house after a tragic event like that, or do they continue living there? I've
had so many people say where up in Olathe, Kansas, we had a child again take his life. And the mother said, I can't go back in here. I'll sell the house as it is. I'm done, Springfield, Missouri. I had one. This one probably stuck with me a little bit because to this day, I remember it very clearly. Her son OD'd on drugs. In the bedroom, they were having a party. And he passed away leaning against the wall. Well, his friends didn't know he was dead, so they outlined him on the wall as a joke. They didn't realize, they just thought he passed out. He was deceased. And so they had outlined him, and then they finally realized that this kid OD'd. And mom wasn't at home. Mom was at work. And everything, police came, paramedics, everybody got him and determined him a code black, which is dead. Can't recover him. So he was removed. The mother came into this house and left everything in this home. But before she left, she wrote on the wall a story about her son. And when you come into a home, you always assess and I always look around. And when I was leaving to go back out to get my equipment to clean this area up, I saw this on the wall. I said, whoa. I started reading it. And the story said, son, you've taken away your life and now you've taken my life because you were my life. And it went on. Her son was the same age as my son at that time. And it hit home because of, you don't ever know what your kids are doing when they're out running around with other kids. I was fortunate enough to have Easton, knowing he was a good child, that he didn't run with that group of people. But I instantly called him. And I said, son, just between you and dad, I want to make sure you're never going to do something stupid. He goes, Dad, I've seen it. I know about it. You talk about it. And no, that's not who I am. And it gave me a little peace of mind, but still, when he's your only child, it worries you. So, yeah, and that one stuck with me. I've seen many, many of them where people want to stay in the house for a period of time, and some of them just walk away from the whole thing and start over. Mainly if it's a spouse, a husband or a wife takes her life. Yeah, so.
And like, you're talking about like seeing that, like that kid, it kind of made you a little emotional. It kind of brought you back. Is there a difference in emotional when you see, like, say, a homicide or a suicide or an unattended death?
You know what? They all have an impact. Everyone has an impact. It's how you allow it to impact you. December 14th, 3 years ago now, Shawnee, Kansas, a youth minister to a church stabbed his 3 children. And his wife tried to stop him from going in every room, defending these kids. And she had defense wounds. And this was big time on the news too. And his 3 or 5-year-old little daughter, you could see where she was in the bed where the stab wounds and the blood spatter on the headboard. And we were called to clean that up. And then he put the house on fire on top of that in the basement, trying to cover up everything. He didn't do a very good job. All the children lived. The wife lived. They're going to be, it's just for the rest of their life, they'll have problems, put it that way. And when he closed the basement door where he started the fire, it suffocated the fire. So fire department was there, police department. But when they released that scene to us, that knowing that this father of this little child, this girl, his sons were a little bit older, but he stabbed her in the bed. You know, you think, what kind of man can do that? That one actually made me angry that he did that to his child, a little girl child. You get frustrated and you try to, and I don't really let it bother me. You try to think, what are they thinking when they do this? What makes a person, and I get to ask this question all the time, what takes somebody to that level? Oh, I don't know, because I'll never get to that level where I could hurt a family member, you know. But I did call one of the detectives and I asked him, I said, where are you at? He said, what do you mean by that? And I said, hey, I need you to come by here. He goes, what for? I said, I need to punch you. He said, for what? He goes, if I punch you, you're going to send me to jail. And this is where that jackwagon's at that just did this. And I'm going to go visit with him. He goes, no, you can't do that, Kevin. We all want to go there and do that. You can't. And so I just said, you get to the point where you want to handle it and take care of it yourself. You know, when you take a child's life or attempt to take a child's life, no, I'm done with that. So you see a lot.
And what stays with you after certain scenes? Like you just mentioned, like you wanted to go after this guy, like.
Well, yeah, I wanted to go after him.
Say like on other scenes, like where someone might have had like suicide or unattended death, where those people are laying there for a while. Like, does anything stay with you after those
it doesn't really. I'm, like I said, to God be the glory. I have the gift and the ability to just let it go. I live on a farm. So when I go home every night, I'm out in Baldwin, out in the country. I've got some land, some animals, farm animals, and it's, you can go out there and just let everything go. One of the chaplains, Paul Taylor, said, Kevin, and he's a very well-known chaplain here locally in Lawrence. He said, you do a good job of letting it go, but you're really not letting it go. You're letting it build up. He said, all of us can let it go. He says, you do need to talk to someone at times. And I'm that guy who goes home and talks to my farm animals, and I talk to God all the time. And I turn it over to him. I can't control things. I have zero control over something that's already happened. What I can control is my actions on how I handle it, and how I respond to it and what comes out of my mouth. And there's been times that my brain doesn't catch up to my mouth and I say things to people that I probably shouldn't say in situations because it's frustration, and you just wonder why, and it's always a wonder. Why? What is so bad, that we have to take our own life? It's a long-term solution for a short-term problem, suicide. They never stop and think who it's going to affect. On the suicides, I see a lot of alcohol bottles around the bodies or around the situation or the scene, because people have to take themselves to another level. They have to drink themselves to the spot where you've heard of the term liquid courage. Alcohol gives people liquid courage where they want to go fight everybody that think they're bad. So they also do it the same when they want to take their life. So
you find that to be the case mostly when you've been to like suicides where the person was like on something?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. To help them? I don't think I've ever been to one where this was just, I guess I have been to some where somebody said, we never ever knew anything, and it happened. Nobody expected it to happen. Nobody knew why it happened. And you just wonder what made them take it to that level. Some of them, you can look at a house and you can look at a scene and you can assess it yourself just by the living conditions. I don't know what they're going through. Nobody knows what people are going through, and we all have bad days, but there's not a bad day where I think that I'm going to take my life. and if I could stop everyone from doing it, I would stop them. We don't make money. This is not it's not what I want to say. There's a lot of money to be made in doing what I do, and I'm talking a lot of money. Some of these companies out there, I won't mention any names, they charge sometimes $5,000 to $10,000 a cleanup.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I do so many pro bono, and we've estimated we may donate $300,000 a year to these families of just doing it and letting it go. If they get a bill, it says you don't have to pay this bill if you cannot afford to, and they don't pay it, and we never collect on it. And my wife has said to me, at some point, you're going to have to retire. And you could have retired a long time ago with all that money that you give away. It's not about money. It's about doing the right thing. So.
And like, what's it like interacting with like family members? Because sometimes, I don't know if you see them all the time since you clean up the crime scene and then you're out of there, but have you had like times where you're interacting with the family members?
Yeah,
and like, what is that like when they're going through something like this?
I've received letters thanking me for my professionalism and my caring. I will pray with the family at the end and bring them together and have a prayer with them because I think that's important. You have to handle every situation with kid gloves. Everything's different. I've had people act like it's no big deal that their child just took their life. I mean, and I'm awed by it. And I have some that want to help me clean up the mess, and I tell them absolutely not. Stay down that part of the house. I'll ask you if I have blood spatter, on this item, we'll clean it if it's cleanable from the spatter. And if it's not, I say, you know what, I have to dispose of this. I can do whatever you want me to do to get whatever I can out of it, But if it's a book or if it's a journal or whatever, because I can't hand over a blood-soaked item to somebody knowing that this child could have had AIDS, hepatitis, or whatever, because it's an infectious, so we have to take those precautions too. So yeah, some families handle it differently, and we'll talk to each and every one of them, and I'll stay as long as I need to. I've stayed with a gentleman whose son killed himself when he went to the grocery store, came back, and I stayed there for 4 or 5 hours just visiting with him because he didn't have anybody. And his last words to me goes, "Sir, what am I going to do? He was the only person I had." I said, "Call me whenever you need to talk to somebody. I'll be there for you." So yeah, it hurts because of you just don't know how much you're affecting someone else by the choice you're making.
So do you feel like part of your job is like emotional support sometimes?
Oh, yeah. I've got a brochure I'll give you before I leave. It's from the chaplains on suicides and murders, and they give it to every family member. And it talks about the grieving period. We all need to listen to people and see that they're hurting. So yeah, if I can help them with the grieving and pray with them and consult them, am I a psychologist? Absolutely not. Have I seen more than most psychologists? Probably so. Mm-hmm. And so I can understand and relate. So yeah, I'll listen to anybody and just let them dump everything that's going on in them.
So now kind of moving into like the more like the technical and like behind the scenes part, like what's like the most physically challenging part of the job that you do?
There's some very physical, because I try to do most everything by myself. Mm-hmm. For one, I don't want to get others involved in that circle, but I do have to at times. I've got a firefighter that I use, is my son's best friend, and I use my son at times. And depending upon the location of the situation and the incident, if they take their life on a couch and it's on the second floor and it's a stairwell, we got to take that couch out of the property. Now we can disassemble it, and we have done that many times, and take it out in pieces. but it has to be disposed of. So taking it from there, getting it into a trailer, and making sure that we're not contaminating everything else as we go through. So once it's bagged, you have to go from even a third floor in an apartment complex. They don't have elevators. So you literally have to go down the stairwells and maintaining that. Cleaning up concrete when I have a shooting on a concrete or an incident that's on porous concrete, it absorbs down into that concrete. Now, there are some people that say, well, just leave it be and wash it off. It doesn't work that way. You got to clean it. And so sometimes you're using muriatic acid and bringing it up and cleaning. Sometimes you're grinding the concrete down. Below your carpet here, there's concrete. And believe it or not, if something happened here, that pad doesn't absorb that blood. It just kind of spreads it out more. So it gets into the concrete. So some of it's labor intensive and some of it's very simple and easy. Just depends on every situation. Different chemicals have to be used for different times. Cleaning wise, is it 5 days old coagulated blood where we can flake it up and put it into a pile and literally vacuum up with a HEPA vac and then cleanse the area? Or is it somebody who just cut their throat and I have massive quantities of blood in the garage? This is a situation where they have saw cuts in the garage in the concrete. Well, that blood's down in every one of those saw cuts. So you have to literally get down in those saw cuts and cleanse them 100%. And that's hand and knees. And you're getting down there with bright lights and cleaning and scrubbing and down into the cracks. So we take it very seriously. I mean, yeah, it's got to be done properly.
So once you're done cleaning, you guys inspect it again? Like, is there anyone else that comes in and checks it for you, or are you the last person?
We're the last person, yeah. We've had people call us to go check other companies' jobs. No one's ever called to check our job. Okay. We probably go too far on cleaning. And what I mean by that is I would much rather take you'll see a spot of blood that's 6 inches on the carpet. I can promise you underneath that carpet, it's 3 foot. And so we will take that entire area of carpet out. Even though there's no blood in that section, you can't patch that carpet. So we're going to take the time to remove all the carpet out of that area for the family. Because what's worse for you to walk in and see the spot that we removed? And you know what happened there. So why don't we just remove it all and make it a little bit better for the family? We also have the ability, I own another company, First Choice Property Preservation, where we can come in and replace the carpet for the families. We can rebuild the situation. We can put it back to exactly like it was for them. So if they want to sell the property or you start using that area of the house again, we can do that for them too. Okay. So that's an offer we give them.
And what kind of certifications or requirements are there to be a crime scene cleaner?
Every state's different. Somebody asked me, do I do continuing education classes? Do I get them? I said, I'm continually educated every single day of the week. I said, when you graduate college, you get a college degree. You don't go back every 3 years and get your college degree. That degree stays with you for life. 17 years ago, I got certified. And over my years of experience learning by trial and error, we've become one of the best at doing it. So the certification starts from the very beginning. Is there CE classes that I could take? I've actually looked into some of them, and and this is not bragging, my education is so much further than what they're trying to teach in those CE areas. They're great for beginners. People wanting to learn. It's not for everybody. So the certification, yes, OSHA says you have to be certified, making sure OSHA's happy, because there's violations. I mean, there's a lot of people that in the maintenance areas of apartment complexes try to take their maintenance man to go clean something up. Okay. It's 100% wrong. It's a $50,000 fine, I believe, from OSHA. If you compromise one of your employees, it's not part of their job description. Okay. And you can't throw that away in the trash can. You have to have 3 means to do it. You can use Stericycle, which is a biohazard disposal service, which we are certified with them too, or we have a contract with them. You can incinerate that, which means burn it in a facility, which funeral homes do. They incinerate, from when they cremate. Mm-hmm. Or you can take that, and I have a KDHE special waste permit. I can bag that, and then we use red biohazard bags or whatever boxes that are certified biohazard. We take that, I call the dump, and I fill out my form, and when I go through the gate, they say we have a biohazard. They go dig a special little hole, and they put it in there, which is kind of silly because they're just putting trash in the trash, but we still have to follow those guidelines. Okay. So you have to do it that way. So certification comes all the way around in everything you're doing. So you can't throw it in the dumpster because of that homeless guy that goes dig through the dumpster, just happened to get stabbed by a hypodermic needle. That guy happened to have AIDS or hepatitis C. You are now responsible for that guy, And if you work for me, I don't allow you to, and again, I only use 2, but if I've used other people in situations, you're not touching nothing. Because Sal, if you were working with me, you said, hey, Kevin, I want to go with you to a crime scene, see what it really looks like and smells like. You just happen to pick up a piece of tack strip that has all those little nails on it that holds your carpet in, just happen to have blood on it. You happen to bleed and it pierces your skin. I got to pay you a long time, so I make sure that you never get HIV or hepatitis. So I don't have that deep of pockets to make sure that you're never going to be sick. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't compromise my people. I'll take the inherent risk myself. And I have been stabbed in 17 years, probably about 6 times. I've had one needle stuck all the way down into my finger and literally had to take pliers to pull it out. Wow. It hurt so bad. But again, to God be the glory, I'm healthy and haven't gotten anything ever.
When you get into situations like that, like, do you go to the hospital?
No,
get it checked out, or
no, I'm not that guy again. I get tested. I have my blood pulled and tested. It just, you get cut, stabbed by needles or tack strip, but if that's just a clean tack strip, if there's blood on it. Okay. I've reached on the top of the shower tracks, and I've reached up and they bent the needle and I just happened to be sticking up and it's like, wow. And you pick it up and a little hypodermic still on it. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it happens. You don't want it to happen. And it goes through your gloves too. And I wear very thick nitrile gloves. So it will happen.
And you mentioned like going to the waste and like disposing of this stuff. Like are you taking all this stuff in your truck or in your trailer?
I've got a trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the stuff goes in a cargo trailer. I will bag it. And if it's in the biohazard bags, I can transport it any way I want to. Okay. If it's in a trailer's marked biohazard. If it's on one of my flat trailers, it's obvious it's biohazard boxes flagged with biohazard. The other day I had to haul a couch and it was on my flat trailer and it was a decomp body smell and I had to get gas at the gas station. Oh, yeah. And so when pulling in there, the people go, because you can smell it. So, yeah, it's still getting transported, but I have to stop and get fuel. And there's nothing I can do about it. They all just look at me like, wow, that smells good. And then they read the truck that says crime scene cleanup, then they realize what it is. So,
what are people's reactions like when they see your truck or like
I get
stuff like that?
I get all kinds of questions. I would love to do this. I think it would be awesome. Can I tag along with you sometime? I said, yeah, it sounds cool and it sounds prestigious and everybody wants to be that crime scene guy. You really don't want to be me. I mean, I love what I do. I'm very good at what I do. I've brought friends, this guy, I won't mention his name, but he was a big time hunter. He was positive he would not get sick and he wanted to see what I do. I said, all right, buddy, we got a hanging victim here in Lawrence. The body hung himself in the closet. He was there for about 6 days, and his body separated from the hanging.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so his body dropped. I said, and he literally went through the closet, down through the sill plate of the apartment, out the front door, under the threshold, and down the sidewalk.
Oh, wow.
Your body just turns into soup. Mm-hmm. And so I got him there, and I suited him up, and I put a respirator on him, and I said, and I'll just say his first name's Alan. We'll just go with that. I said, Alan, all right, you're going to be my safe guy here. I'm going to hand you stuff and everything. So I said, it's all cleaned, everything. I knew what was underneath the threshold of the house. So I removed all the screws, and I have to tear it all the way apart. I had to cut the sill plate out and everything. All that's clean. So at the very end, I said, Alan, you can take your respirator off. We're good. And so he's out front. He smells, and he goes, oh, I don't smell nothing no more. I said, great. I said, here, come on, help me down here. And so I had the sill plate, and I took my pry bar and I pushed it, and I said, pop. And knew the second I picked that up, there would be a massive amount of flesh and maggots. And his face was about from me to you, and that hit him, and he went like this. And the next thing I could do is see Alan over there, bent over, just upchucking, throwing up, because I said, I thought you were tough. He said, I thought you could handle skinning animals and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. He just kept throwing up and throwing up. And I said, it's kind of tough, isn't it, Alan? He goes, my God. He goes, why did you do that? I said, well, you'd understand there's smells that come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I got him. And he said, I'll never do another one with you. Thanks for the opportunity. So, yeah, they want to see what it's like. And I think it's more of a fascination because we've had shotgun blasts where their head's on the ceiling, and hair's hanging down, and it's not pretty, but people want to see it because some people have a morbid, their brain works that way. Mm-hmm. But when they see the real life and not in a movie, it's all different. Yeah, because the smell of flesh and brain and all that has an odor to it. Mm-hmm. So people learn real quick what they can and can't handle. Yeah. That's why you have a huge turnover in police officers and fire departments, because they see car wrecks and some can handle it, some can't.
And they're the first to see like the body and everything as
the whole thing
as it happened.
I've had literally, I'll try to count them here, in the last 5 years here within Douglas County. 1, 2, 3 firefighters, 2 from the sheriff's department, and 1 or 2 from the police department that have taken their lives. And that's 7 first responders based upon what goes on, and that's 7 of them that help other people that just couldn't deal with what they had seen on a regular basis, and it affected them enough that they took their own life. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it takes a special person to do as a first responder.
You think that's like one of the main reasons why a lot of them resign from like their positions because of
they can't handle the stress, the pressure. There's a lot of pressure. I mean, when you see an officer and you say thank you for your service or military or whatever, I say it from the bottom of my heart because I know what they go through. Like I said, my whole family's law enforcement up in the Johnson County side. And we've seen things and they've seen things that stay with you forever. So.
Do you think that having that background of law enforcement and growing up with them has helped you like through this job?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, without question. Mm-hmm. You don't get somebody who's worked at the bank and says, hey, I want to come and do what you do. Mm-hmm. You have hands-on, you've seen the pictures, you've heard the stories, and you know why you're doing what you're doing. There's a reason I do what I do.
Like growing up with like your parents or
no,
would they tell you stories? Or
no, my parents weren't in law enforcement. I grew up unfortunately with an alcoholic father.
Okay.
So on the abusive side there, and my mother was a government employee, best woman in the world. But my twin sister, her husband, their nephews, or their children, which is my nephews, are all in law enforcement. And Calvin, Sheriff Hayden out of Johnson County, probably the longest tenured one out of everybody. I think it was 43 years he was in law enforcement.
Wow.
Yeah, so retired as the sheriff. So we all have the stories, so.
And were they already, like, before you started doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Were they already in it?
I've been doing it 17 years and Calvin was 43. So,
Okay.
yeah, Kelly was in it, my twin, long before me. Kyle, his wife, both deputies up in Johnson County. They've been doing it forever. And a lot of my friends that I run around with from back in the day were still in law enforcement. So I was always around it.
So, like, since you're always around it, is that what, like, led you to get into this position?
Oh, absolutely. Well, what led me to get into it, the most honest reason I got into it, a lieutenant's mother was killed in a homicide. And the company, and I won't throw their name out there as much as I want to, came in and charged $17,000 to the family for doing the cleanup.
Wow.
$17,000 is a chunk of money for a family that doesn't have a lot of money. And then they put a lien on the property because they couldn't afford to pay the bill. And they do this on a regular basis. This is a nationwide company that does this. And I said, never will I, when I saw this, I said, that's just not what we're about. We will never allow a family to not be able to have it done properly. And if they can't afford to pay that bill, we'll take care of that bill ourselves. And we'll do it for free. Just pro bono, no questions asked. Because that literally ruined that family, the mother being killed. But financially, it just ruined that family after that. And that's, big corporate companies don't care about nothing but money. And I'm the guy, I will give every penny away to make sure that somebody else is happy. Mm-hmm. I've been blessed in this world. Being rich doesn't mean you have deep pockets. It's just your relationship that you have. So, yeah, that's not about money.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like that's like a common case now?
For me?
Where these companies are coming in and charging obscene amounts of money?
They do. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3 of them locally. There is one gentleman that owns a company, CSC in Kansas City, Crime Scene Cleaners. Super nice guy. Great guy. Very reasonable. Very good price. He will help people. He won't do it pro bono, but he will reduce his price to help people. So they're good. I'll give him kudos. But the other ones, no. When you got to make them sign a contract, a blank contract, when they're in a stressful situation, those people will sign that in a heartbeat just to get this cleaned up. Mm-hmm. And you have no idea what you're signing. That's other than a blank contract. There's no dollar amounts or nothing. We don't do that. I don't understand why you should do that. Mm-hmm. But people do that.
So do you feel like there's a lot of competition then?
I don't have competition.
In this area?
No, there is competition, but there's nobody out there. And again, I'll give you one of my flyers. In one of our letters of recommendations, I've received, you know what a challenge coin is? Mm-mm. It's a recommendation from police departments that you go up and beyond on your service. And I've received them from Lawrence Police Department, Johnson County Sheriff's Department, and other departments, these challenge coins being recognized as going far and above the call of duty as a first responder helping families out. Just like today when I told you I stopped and lady's out of gas on the road, right in the middle of traffic, nobody stopped to help her. We just lit our truck up and waited for the police department to get there. Literally ran across, got a gas can, bought it, filled the car up, and got her going. So she didn't get hit. It's just going up and beyond the call of duty, just make sure you're doing the right thing. It doesn't take but 20 extra minutes. Mm-hmm. And with these other departments or these other companies, they send people out that don't have the experience. And like I said, I've been called out to clean up after they're done. And we don't charge them for that either. Even though they should have called us to begin with, we're fixing a problem somebody else made. But it's, again, it's not about the money. It's about doing the right thing.
And kind of like how you were talking about where you get some of these like police officers or firefighters who commit suicide or can't handle it.
Right.
Have you ever been on like a crime scene where you had encountered like a police officer or someone who was doing a like service like pass away like that?
Oh yeah. We have one. I mean, like I said, 7 of them here locally. I have the pictures of the car I showed you. That was a deputy here in Douglas County, took his life in his car, his personal car, right after shift, you know. So these are the things that happen. I've had a call from the sheriff's department because I had another deputy take his life at home in the bedroom. And I've had, Johnson County's had a few. They just can't handle it. Now, is it the only reason? No, there's other things factored. Maybe spousal relationships combined with the department. The divorce rate of police officers is exceptionally high. The stress level on families is high because of the shift work and the long hours and everything you deal with every day. People have to be able to compartmentalize things that they bring home. Don't bring home business, leave it at the door, because it's not going to do your family any good.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I know you said when you started because they were charging
too much money. They're taking advantage of a person in a situation that they can't think clearly, and that's just not right. Plain and simple. If you have it'd just be like getting somebody completely intoxicated and they got a wad of money and you keep getting drunker and drunker and say, hey, can I have $100 or $200? They're going to give it to you because they're drunk. Mm-hmm. Just taking advantage of the situation. And that's what they do. And I don't understand how you go to sleep at night. Mm-hmm. It's about money to big business. I'm not a big business. I'm a family-owned business. And I'll stay that way forever. People have asked me to franchise, go down to different states and teach them what I do and use my company name. My company name is my reputation. It's my word. And I can't knowingly go to Dallas, Texas, and that's where somebody wanted me to teach them, down there and educate them and not knowing they're doing what I would do. And that may sound silly, but I'd much rather my reputation means a lot to me. We all make mistakes in our life, and I've never made a mistake with this company. We just do the right thing.
So how a lot of like public service members, like either like a week into or even that day of that they enter into like their occupation, mm-hmm. like they have to like go to a tragic like accident or something like, I don't know, crazy happens on their first day or like their first week on the job. Was there a certain moment for that for you?
Well, it's been 4 months ago down in Manhattan, Kansas. I had a suicide. Got a call down there, and I it was an apartment complex. It was a lady shot herself in the bathtub, fully dressed. The police officer at the door, she was brand spanking new, first week on the job. And so I went from the apartment office. They gave me the key to go down there. They told me there may be a police officer. They're waiting on first call to pick up the body. So I get down there and she's talking to her sergeant on the phone. And I said, hey, I just need to assess this real quick. And the girl goes, it's 911 trauma squad. It's the owner. He wants to assess this before they pick up the body. And the sergeant says, yeah, I'll let him go in there. So I wanted to see if there was an exit wound going through the bottom of the tub.
Okay.
So which tells me what I need to do to clean this one up. And so I went in, assessed, looked, and came back out. And I said, have you been back there yet? And she goes, no, sir. I've been on the job 1 week and I'm not going back there. And I don't want to I don't want to see the body. I said, okay. I said, well, she goes, and I'm very nervous being out here in the front room with the body back there. Mm-hmm. and they're just making me stay here. And I said, would you like me to stay with you? And she goes, yes, if you would. And I said, I will. And so I said, I'm going to go down to my truck and get something. So I came back up, and her and I are outside the door. She's standing guard at the door, and we're just talking. And so first guys come up, and one of the first call guys is brand new too. And so the older gentleman knows me, and I said, hey, he goes, how you doing? And he goes, my third one of the day, and the first one was an 8-month-old baby.
Oh, wow.
And I said, wow, that's a tough day. He goes, yeah. And this new guy's not handling it well. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And so when there's a body, you put it in a body bag. You have to pick this body up, move it from where it's at, and put it into the body bag. Okay, and then body bag, zipped up, closed, and you have to tag the body. You have to do all these things. And so you take your pictures. And I knew, based upon the way this lady was in the tub, and so the young lady officer and I are standing outside, and I heard the body come out of the guy's hand and go clunk on the ground.
Oh, wow. And
the girl looks at me, the little young officer, and she goes, what was that? I said, that's exactly what you thought that was. That body fell out of the bathtub onto the ground. And she goes, oh, I thought she was going to faint. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah. I said, they just made my mess bigger. Mm-hmm. And so she goes, I think I got to go downstairs. So she went downstairs and took a deep breath, and they finally bagged the body and put it on the gurney and take it down. And she says, how do you do what you do? I said, it's a long time been doing it. She goes, I don't know if I'm going to be cut out to be a police officer. And some people find out. The academy, you don't learn that in the police academy. Yeah. It's all books and education and learning this, and no situational real life training, because they just can't give that to you there. Mm-hmm. And so she goes, I just don't know. So, yeah. Her first week, she get to see something, and she's done pretty much. Yeah. So it doesn't faze us. I mean, that never fazes me. So, yeah, there are people that can't handle it, to answer that question.
So what was it like for you when you, like your very first crime scene that you remember? How was that for you?
It was a shooting. It was a shotgun shooting. A 16-year-old shot a 13-year-old over a PlayStation game. He was robbing him, stole it, and the other kid shot the other kid. And it was just, didn't faze me. Again, I grew up dirt floor poor and alcoholic father, and I'm not blaming him for nothing, but I understood what adversity was. My mom busted her ass. We didn't have a lot, and so we made good use of everything we had. And so I just learned. I think it's a gift. Again, give God the glory to be able to shut my brain down and not let it be affected.
So you usually said that either the police officer or the detectives or someone like that calls you, but...
Well, no, they don't. I mean, we get the call from CSI. Will give a piece of paper, and I have one of those I can show you out in the truck too. They give them a piece of paper, and it says, these are several different companies that do biohazard cleanups. If you notice, we're at the top of every one of those sheets, and it says on the right-hand side, we'll do pro bono if you cannot afford to pay the bill. So they hand it to them. CSI does, that's the crime scene investigators, or they leave it on the table for the family. And so we get that call from them. So the detectives or CSI give them that document, and then they contact us, or the insurance company contacts us, or the chaplain shows up to talk with the family, and the chaplains have their own flyer, and we're the only company on that flyer. They say we highly recommend them. They're a Christian-based company. They're not going to charge you. They'll do whatever you need. And so we're the only one on that flyer. So that's how we're called usually, or just word of mouth, just like the city of Lawrence, they knew exactly who we were when that happened at City Hall. And sometimes I will reach out in a situation where in Topeka, where I knew that all those special need kids were shot and the family had a huge problem. I'll make that call and say, you know what, pro bono, no questions asked, just when it's all said and done, you don't need to call other people. Just let me know when to get there. So sometimes I will even reach out to a family and say, we're here for you. So on Facebook, you know what a code black is? Mm-hmm. Okay, code black is a dead body call. And so if you're ever following a police scanner and it says code red, green, yellow, or code black is a dead body call, suicide signal 4. And so those, when they post that on Facebook, we will, if I see it, I send a little thing that says, hey, anything 911 trauma squad can do to help the family, let us know. And so we've been contacted through Instant Messenger also by families that, for whatever reason, a small town, Oskaloosa, it's just a small town. They don't have chaplains, and so we'll get that business that way too.
So what's like the furthest that you've like traveled to go for a cleanup? Because you do just Kansas and Missouri, right?
Oh, yeah, I'll go anywhere. Goodness gracious. Springfield, Missouri, 3-4 hours away. Clay Center, 2 hours. Wichita's 3, So, I'll go down to Oklahoma. I actually have had one in Oklahoma many years back. So, I'll go wherever they need to go. Mm-hmm. So, no hesitation there.
And more like a personal question, has this like job like changed your kind of like perspective on like fear or like death or anything like that?
Again, that's that relationship I have with the good Lord above. We're all going to pass at some point. I don't compromise myself in situations. I don't compromise my family. I had my son with me. He was probably 17. And it was and when I say this, people are going to say, what? It was a gay porn house in Shawnee, Kansas, where they were filming gay porn. We were called in because there were biohazards in the house, hypodermic needles too, human feces. So when we got there, Easton, my son, wanted to go with me, and so I suited him up and I suited myself up, and we entered the house, and I'm just looking around and I'm assessing everything and looking, and he's behind me, and Easton says, Dad, don't move. And I'm thinking, don't move. I'm thinking I'm going to unzip this, get a weapon. Maybe I need to get a weapon out. Somebody's got him behind me. I don't know. And then he says, turn around slowly, Dad. And I'm thinking, geez, what is going on? So I turn around slowly, and I'm unzipping my suit when I'm doing this. And my son's got a vial in his hand, sticking in my face. He said, Dad, this is, and his phone's in his other hand. He said, this medication in this bottle is for HIV active. I said, son, do me a favor, drop the bottle and follow your footprints backwards out this house, because I'm not compromising you on this job. So you can go sit in my truck for the next 8 hours. I don't care. Out. I ended up taking 100 and something hypodermic needles out of cushions where they'd stick them in the cushions, they'd shoot up whoever, and then they'd take the needle, stick it in the cushions. So these were hidden anywhere. And if something would have stabbed my son, I would not be able, that would have been tough. So I don't compromise him or anybody ever. So that one was a very long, tedious job, knowing that every needle is possibly hot from AIDS, And this is one that was really prevalent back in the day when everybody was talking about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, in today's world, you can't cure it, but you can control it. But back then you couldn't, and it was terrible. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that was probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah, and that's when I kind of first started within my first 5 years. So you just learn over the time. So become safer, better, smarter, just with any job, just like your job. Mm-hmm. Interviewing wise, you learn to interview better, ask the right questions, and do all that.
That's interesting. But Like how often would you say like when you go into a crime scene like you're seeing like all these amounts of like needles like is that like in every
Yeah, but it's in a lot of them. I do a lot of stuff for the housing authority in Topeka, which is the low income housing, and a lot of their properties that we go into, knowing that it was an eviction for drugs, or the police had put a search warrant on it and removed everybody out, and we know going in there that we're going to find hypodermics. That's our job, is to go hunt them down and find them, so their employees don't get stabbed. And so, yeah, it's just, you may find 20 of them, and you may find 5 of them, and you may find them in the most obvious place, or you may find them in the most unobvious place. So you just got to be careful and on your toes all the time.
and what would you say like is the biggest difference when you're cleaning like a crime scene in like a lower income area versus like say like a middle class or working class area? Is there like a big difference?
No. I've been shocked a few times. I had a suicide call in Leawood, Kansas. You're familiar with Leawood, high dollar.
Mm-hmm.
This is a doctor's house. The doctor's the wife. The husband is the one who committed suicide in a gym in their basement, a full-fledged home gym. I'm not talking about 2 weights. I'm talking about a full gym. Full mirrors, full bar, full everything down there. And this one bothered me a lot because of, and I don't want to say too awful much. It's been several years back, but when he shot himself in front of a mirror, supposedly working out with a shotgun, and so we had a lot of spatter, equipment everywhere, and so when we were back there that day, I hear people laughing upstairs. I'm thinking, all right, some people handle this differently. And my son's with me and the firefighter, because this is a lot of stuff to clean. And so Easton's looking at me and Trevor's looking at me, and I go, I'll be back. So I go upstairs and they closed the door, to be honest. And she goes, how's everything going down there? I said, good. And she goes, oh, this is so-and-so. She's with the funeral home, and this is so-and-so. She's with the coroner's office or whatever, and she's the doctor. And so I just want to make sure everything's going fine. And I said, going fine. And I've never had a suicide the day of where I've got the funeral director and the coroner's person up there drinking and having a good time with the doctor. Mm-hmm. So I made a phone call the next day and I said, this is just odd to me. She's having a good time. He supposedly killed himself, and she was pulling out of the driveway headed to the office when it happened. And the daughter is the one that found him, and they all have Teslas. It's just a nice house, all this. And so the following day, it's a 2-day cleanup, and the doctor comes down there and she goes, I said, do you want me to clean this something up? It had a rubber floor too. She goes, no. She goes, nobody wants to buy this whole gym. I said, well, I can find something. I said, what do you want for it? She goes, I don't know, just $500 to get rid of it. I said, $500? You got $15,000 in equipment. I said, I'll give you $500 for it right now. So she goes, sold. She goes, oh, you want all that liquor in the cabin? I said, I don't drink like that. I said, no. She goes, that's his. I can get rid of it too. And I said, so this is all his. You want to get rid of it and get rid of his liquor? She goes, but I don't want that. I wanted to keep that treadmill. That one's mine. I said, okay. It was just odd because she wanted to get rid of everything of his, but she was having a good time. She had already had the body set to be cremated within the next day. That just tells me something just didn't seem right, because you cremate a body, your evidence goes away.
Yeah, I feel like she had like something to do with it because I wanted stuff to move fast.
I know, and I thought that, and I thought I cannot push this issue because this was another department calling me, for this cleanup, and I'm thinking, all right, I don't want to, because that would have been me telling them, you're not doing your job. You're just assuming it's a suicide, and didn't look into it because she's a high-profile doctor.
Do you find that to be the case a lot of times when you're like in these high dollar areas where like maybe the family isn't as
Well,
compassionate?
you just kind of wonder. Because, I mean, I don't think I would be able to function if my wife or my stepkids or my son, grandkids, anybody committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I think my mind would just be blown up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for days, weeks. I don't think how I could function. And this lady was drinking, having a good time, and, and again, every single person handles death their own way. Now, she's a doctor. Maybe she's seen a lot of it, but that's her husband. And the rumor had it that he was the sole heir to $1 billion company. So I don't know. I just question it. But I let it go, and I never talked about it. And that's why I brought it up today. It just made me think about it when you said, how do low-income and high-dollar families? Well, this high-dollar family handled it like I see on the low end of people. So you just don't know.
And I asked that because I know before we started recording, you were talking about how this low income family was, while you were cleaning, they were trying to like fighting over the TV and all the personal belongings.
Yeah.
So do you see that like very often where people are fighting over stuff like that?
I do see it. They want to know when they can start taking stuff out of the house. And I have had a father. This one was kind of tore me up a little bit too. Had a father whose son committed suicide, but he swore that his son didn't commit suicide. He believes that his son fell and the gun went off because his son was a weapons specialist in the military. And I'm thinking, in PTSD, I don't know what he's dealt with, but his father was adamant, and he didn't want it to be a suicide. He wanted it to be an accidental shooting, because he was not going to accept suicide. He could accept an accidental shooting. Either way, your son's not here. I don't know what's going to make it any better mentally for you knowing it's an accidental shooting versus a suicide. Mm-hmm. But he wanted me to validate it was an accident based upon what I could see at the scene. I said, I can't tell you that, sir. I can only tell you what the coroner is going to tell you. And that's based upon the evidence in the position of the gun in his hand. He said, well, could he have not fallen and the gun fired? Could have. I've had a couple of them like that. But I don't know. I wasn't there to see the whole picture, because you don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm just seeing the aftermath. So, yeah, everybody's different.
Mm-hmm. So, like, you say some people handle it differently. Mm-hmm. Like, would you say the doctor kind of like rushing through it and kind of like brushing it off was like the most extreme case you saw?
Yeah.
Like someone not being as interested?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The nonchalant, just let's move on. Let's go. Yeah, to the next level. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I've had other people that, they seem to be fine with it. And then I've had people say, it's kind of expected. I've had people sitting in a chair, boyfriend to the left, his friend to the right, and his girlfriend in the middle. And he said, do you love me, to her? And she said, yes. And he said, will you be able to live with me forever or something? And this coming from her. And she said, yes. So he reaches in his pocket, pulls out a knife, and goes, pow, blows his brain all over her and his buddy, and for no reason at all. Wow. That's the story. I'm thinking, wow, that's very odd. But drugs were involved also. Okay. So you just see everything. So you deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And what's like that? Like once you're finished up with the job, mm-hmm. Do you ever see like these family members?
I do get
occasionally if you're out like running errands and what's like relationship like?
I get letters from the families saying that you were a godsend at this time of need for our family. We thank you for what you've done. Without you, this would have been a much harder thing to deal with. We get a lot of those letters. And again, to God be the glory. His little vessel down here doing his work. And that makes you feel good. I've had people that I've seen in public and they just nod their head and say, thank you. And I've had people that have been angry from the second I got there till the second I left. Not with me, but about the situation. And they eventually, I will get an email or something from my business card saying, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at the world right now. We appreciate what you did. Sorry to take it out on you, you know, and that makes you feel a little better. But we know we didn't do anything wrong, and they're trying to cope with the loss of a loved one. And again, everybody said, I can't fathom it. I don't know how I would act. I mean, everybody thinks I'd be like the doctor, you know, no big deal. Mm-hmm. Life goes on. I don't know how I would be. I mean, I don't know how you would be. Mm-hmm. You know, so we just don't know until it happens. And we don't want to find out either. Mm-hmm. So. And
when you kind of see like these people like on a different day, does that bring you back to like the crime scene that you're doing? Or?
No, I see so many of them. When I was showing you pictures, mm-hmm. I mean, I can literally show you and tell you everything about every picture. I mean, every picture. With my wife driving through areas of town, in little towns like Olathe or whatever, I can be driving and say, oh, yeah, I remember that house there. That's where that gentleman shot himself in the living room, and he just got back from the military. I mean, I know these houses everywhere I go. I know the stories that go with them, but it doesn't, you know, doesn't keep playing back. Or if I see the people, I just, you know, a lot of the times I'm in and out in a few hours, and I don't meet all the family members. You know, I've met families in Lawrence where the students have died and they're from out of town, and they come in and their child is dead from a overdose or alcohol poisoning, and they don't find her for a couple days in the sorority. And the family asked me I said, you know, I can tell you a couple things. I can tell you I found vomit in a trash can, which indicates sick. Police didn't take it. They're going to, you know, there wasn't evidence to them. So we're going to go on the limb that, yes, your daughter might have had alcohol poisoning or overdosed on something. You know, don't know. I can't speculate, but I do know that she threw up violently in this trash can in her bedroom. It's fairly fresh, so I can tell you that much. And she goes, that makes us feel a little bit better, because they think that they were maybe killed or something. Nobody wants to accept suicide. My child didn't do that. My child would have never done that. Something else happened. You know, and so they're trying to validate, and that's not my job to do for them. My job is just clean it up, make it safe for the next person to be in that area. So.
And what would you say, like, we're talking about suicide and people shooting themselves. What would you say is like the most gruesome, like, scene that you've seen
Homicides?
Going into a crime scene?
Oh, I've seen. I've seen things where the baby's head's blown off its shoulders because the drug dealer dad put his 9mm on the bed, laid his 6-month-old baby up on the bed. His son, who's 5, jumps up, crawls on the bed, reaches up, then actually pulls the trigger of the 9 and takes the baby's head off. You know? So, yeah, that's an infant child gone. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen, like I said, the special need kids up there in Topeka, and the 2 adults, you know, that were killed on the scene. I've seen, like I said, the head on the ceilings, multiple shootings, multiple suicides where not one shot, but it took 2 shots to do it to themselves. I've seen the hanging victims. I've seen blown up bodies. The drowning victims, you name it, I've seen it all. And they're all, is that you or me beeping?
Yeah, that's you.
Thought I turned that off. Uh-huh. But I've just seen so many. You just, to a point where what's gruesome to you is just normal to me. And that sounds kind of calloused, but I've gotten to that point where, you know, I've told my wife this many times, I would much rather do a shooting victim where he's taking his head right off of his shoulders than doing a decomp body. Because blood does not have it does have an odor of iron, but it is easier to deal with than a decomp. Because every time you move the decomposition, the mass of it, another odor comes out of it. So, and it's forever. It's hours upon hours of cleaning that, because you just take it to the next level down, it just ferments back up. So, where blood doesn't, so. In human feces, we do human feces. I have a call, and I was out there. It's in Manhattan, Kansas. I got the call, and this morning I got the approval. It is an apartment where squatters took over this apartment.
Oh, wow.
And the toilets are filled level with feces, and the bathtub is filled level with feces.
Wow.
And you can see their bottom cheeks where they sit in there and poop. Mm-hmm. And this was females that were in this unit. Okay. The second I walked in there, I smelled death, because I can smell what death smells like, a dead body. But it's feces. But in one toilet, it's filled with feces and maggots. No other toilet, nothing has maggots. I kind of am not dreading it, but when I suck this human feces out, this particular toilet, I'm going to have to do by hand, because there's a possibility there's a fetus in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That she maybe passed a child or something because of the amount of maggots in the feces.
Oh, wow.
So I don't want to overlook something that's in there. So I'm going to be doing it by hand, gloves up to here and respirator, but knowing I'm dealing with human feces. And that's part of my job. Yeah. So,
I don't know
people,
if I can handle that part of cleaning feces.
It is tough. I mean, I've had to shovel it out. We do hoarding houses for the families where the parent is senile and they use every corner of the house to pee and poop in. They just put papers down because the bathtub's filled up, the toilets are filled up, the roaches and the mice are just massive, and their parents live that way.
Wow.
I mean, nothing has surprised me lately. I mean, I'm not shocked by anything I see anymore. So we'll just see. And I'm kind of dreading going back to Manhattan, but I got to go down there Friday and take care of it. You want to go with me?
No, thank you. After that one, at least.
Yeah. And nobody else wants to help on that one. I've asked a couple. I said, it's $100 an hour. Nope. I said, so I just got to go down. And there's no running water in this apartment on top of all of it. I've told the complex I'm going to need water, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my big pump in there and I'm going to suck that stuff up, shovel it out of the bathtub, but I've got to hand you that toilet. And I'm going to pick it up and put it in the bucket and close the bucket and seal that bucket. And hopefully I find nothing in that, because again, the maggots you just don't find maggots in poop like that. Mm-hmm. And you find maggots on dead animals, and there's a lot of them. Yeah.
So like when you're at these apartments and you're in like the cleaning process, like do you guys let like the other like neighbors know, like are they allowed to go through the stairs, or like what's that process
It depends on where I'm at. If I'm going upstairs, second floor, if I have my equipment on that, I will put crime scene tape across there so people don't come through my area, because I don't want cross-contamination. Because if I bring something outside a red biohazard bag, I don't want to draw attention either to what I'm there doing, but my truck says what I do. Mm-hmm. I do have the trailer that's not marked, and I used to have one truck that was unmarked because people would say, could you be less conspicuous when you come out? I can do whatever you want. I can come out in the car if I need to, but I can't transport that stuff. I got to transport it properly. So, yeah, and the apartments will keep the door closed if at all possible. In a high-rise building in Topeka, when there's a dead body on the third floor that's been there for 3 weeks, when you open that door up, that's a whole floor of 20 units that can smell that. And so we'll run ozone machines and ionizers trying to help, and we'll put in big fans, exhaust fans, shooting it out the window, just trying to get that air moving. But yeah, people know what's going on.
Okay.
Some people can't smell it because they live in a very nasty lifestyle.
Mm.
So they don't even know there's death, the smell of it.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've seen it all.
Mm. And like, kind of like what you were talking about earlier, like with the decomposing bodies and like that, kind of like that bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Does that same stuff go to that same biohazard place
Yeah,
that you were talking about?
Human feces can be disposed of properly. We will KDHE that one, Kansas Department of Health and Environment. That'll go to the landfills because it's just human waste. It's feces. It'll be bucketed, sealed up buckets. They'll dig a hole and they'll throw it in there. It can't really incinerate liquid feces. Mm-hmm. So that one goes away because you just pray you don't let one of those fall over in the bed of your truck. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you strap those down and you just hope they don't. And then your canister that you use to pump that out, big HEPA vacs, they have to be sterilized and I have to clean them. It takes hours to clean them properly because I don't want to turn it back on in another job and all I smell is feces coming out of there. Mm-hmm. So everyone's got to be cleaned. So people don't understand that either. The time that I spent on a job, and people say, if my minimum fee is $1,000 if you want to pay it, minimum. My maximum, depending upon the severity, could be $2,500. Don't charge any more than that, which is a third of what anybody else would ever charge. But you don't have to pay anything. But they don't understand that my biohazard bags and my boxes, it's about $350 to dispose of those. Oh, wow. My PPE and all my chemicals is another $500 per crime scene. So right there's $800. If I have a helper, that's $100 per hour that I pay them. I can't write that off on taxes. That's not a loss. That's labor, And so people say, well, you can write it. I can't write none of it off. It's just a 100% loss, but I'm willing to do it to make sure that you're taken care of. So plain and simple.
So you really do a lot of discounts. You're only charging like $1,000 the minimum?
That's the bare minimum. Yeah. You don't have to pay it.
Wow.
It's deeply discounted. And they say, how can you afford to do it? I own another company. That company provides very well, which allows me to donate that $300,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not rich. I'm rich in my world, but I'm not rich financially. I don't want to be. I don't need to be. I got enough to survive each and every day. That's what I look at.
So what would you say to someone who wants to get in a line of work like this?
Good luck. I direct, my wife says every day, because when we're eating at your restaurant or whose ever restaurants we're at, and the waiter or the waitress says, first thing out of my mouth is, have you ever thought about going into law enforcement? I will redirect somebody that wants to do what I do into law enforcement. I said, go into law enforcement for a while and work your way up to CSI and see if that's what you want to do. Because a lot of these departments now, you don't have to be a police officer or a certified deputy to be a CSI. You can have a college degree and be in CSI without going through the police academy. So that's a good thing for people. But everybody said, well, I want to be a detective. Well, I said, you got to put your time in on the street, but well, what if I want to do what you want to do? I said, why would you want to do what I do? Why? Well, I love crime scenes. Then be CSI. Go to the department. I do the cleanups on. I see the ugliest, nastiest of the nasty at the end of it all. I know how to investigate them. We can do all that, but I do the back end of it. There's no money. There's money to be made if you want to be one of those big companies, but it's not about money again. So
if someone were to go into this, you would tell them it's not about the money.
It's not about, I don't do it for the money. I do it to take care of that family, to make sure in that time of need that they're taken care of. Bottom line. It's kind of like my missionary, my giving back, because somebody's got to do it.
So someone looking to get into this business should be more of a service-minded. Kind of doing it for like
100% service
coming in, like if you're a firefighter or a police officer, something like that, doing it for like the greater good, you could say.
Yeah, I've had firefighters say we'd like to do it, and I said I'll pay you $100, but they're on call. They have their shifts 24 hours on, 48 off. So you just never know when you're going to get a call. Sometimes you get a lot of calls. Sometimes you don't get any. You can make a good living if you charge like those people charge, because if you make $10,000 a month, that's a good living, right? So if you get, and you're one of those companies and you do 3 a month, that means you're working 3 days a month, making $10,000, and you got 27 days off. Now, that would be great if I wanted to do that. I don't want to do that. That's not me. I want to work every day. So I have 911 Trauma Squad, and I have First Choice Property Preservation. So I work every day. And so when I get the 911 calls, they prioritize over this. So that phone that just rang, I literally probably should have looked to see who was calling, see if it is a police department or somebody. But I mean, if I miss a call, I have missed calls. So, I mean, in the middle of the night, they'll call, and if I don't answer for, say, 5 minutes to my office and I hear it and I don't get to it, they call the next person on that list. That next person says, we can be there in 3 hours. Well, I can be there in 5 minutes, but they're going to take the 3-hour guy, not knowing we're pro bono. We're not going to tell them, don't hire them. You take care of them. If they don't do what they need, call me back. So that's how we do it. So, don't know if you want to come work with me? Want to leave the restaurant business?
Yeah. I could go try it for a day and see if I like it or not.
You know, I've had people literally just even going to with me on. It's hard to find people who want to work in today's world. You guys probably know that. I had a girl that said she wanted to work the other day on my preservation side. Housing Authority, nasty place, had roaches everywhere, thousands of roaches. Had to paint the unit out. And she said, I can paint. And I said, all right, I'm going to leave you here, paint all your tools, everything you need. And halfway through the day, she called me and said, I can't handle the roaches. You can't handle roaches. You surely can't handle biohazard. But she really wanted to be a crime scene person. Well, roaches are in the middle of a crime scene most of the time. Rats, mice, all that stuff, defecation. If you can't handle that, you can't handle crime scene. So it all works itself out.
So what would be like one last message that you would leave someone, just like people in general, like going through stuff like this?
You know what? Trust God. That's all I can really say. Everything happens for a reason. I can't change the past. I can't change the future. I can live for today, and glorify God in all that I do each and every day. And every family member that struggles, they try to say, what can they do? You can't do nothing. It's God's will, His way. And it sounds kind of cliche and silly, but it's real life. Can't change it. And I mean, we've all tried. We've all tried to do it our way. It doesn't work. And I've learned that, with my crime scenes, I can't change how I'm affected. So I allow it each and every day to be His will, His way. So I turn it over to Him. What am I going to do? I can't change you. Nothing I can do or say is going to change you. I can direct you and guide you and give you some hope and, and prayer, but ultimately every day is up to you. So, I tell people to do what they want to do, but go into law enforcement before you go into what I do. That way I'll tell you if you really like doing what I do. So.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Kevin.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Yes. And if there's anything that I could do, and if you want to go someday with me, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay? I'll sure be interested.
See if your dad wants to go with us.
Yeah. I don't know if my dad would want to, but
your sister might.
I know I could handle it.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen like gruesome stuff. Not like that, like body parts and stuff, but
it's a whole different thing when it's a human being.
Yeah. But like,
you've seen dead dogs, and the smell of a dead dog on the road smells bad, doesn't it?
Or skunk or all that stuff.
Yeah, they smell bad. The smell of a dead body with cancer, human feces in the intestines coming out, the smell is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Brain matter, all of it decomp, eye sockets. I mean, yeah, and I give somebody an example. Somebody says, well, that person had terrible breath. Just imagine their breath. Imagine their body decomping, coming out their mouth, the smell.
Mm-hmm.
It's people don't fathom the smells.
Yeah, I think it's like crazy, or like seeing it like in a movie and then seeing it in like real life. I think like maybe that's why there's like this big disconnection.
There's a huge disconnection. And the TV shows like The Cleaner and all of these things you see on TV, it's a movie. It's a movie. It's just plain and simple. It's a movie. If somebody wanted me to do a documentary and follow along with them, I'd probably tell them no, because I don't want that scrutiny of somebody over my shoulder. But yeah, you can't fake those smells. And you can't get rid of those smells. So they're stuck with you.
So even after you say like you clean the house, you do like the best you can. Do you still like have like that sense like that little smell is still there?
Yeah, I can smell it. I mean, we do fire restorations. So when we do a firehouse, the smell of soot and smoke, we'll do the whole entire house. And 2 years later, you can never smell smoke or fire, but all of a sudden, somebody will open up some door, some window, and it will just for 1/10 of a second, you can smell smoke.
Okay.
Yeah. But, and with a decom body, when we leave, you're not smelling it. We're cleaning that thing to make sure it never, ever exists again.
Okay.
I mean, I've dug out crawl spaces where the stuff has gone down into the dirt.
Oh, wow.
And dug the dirt out because it's going to come back through the dirt. So we've done it all. We've never had a callback with the smells. But on smoke and fire, yeah, there's times when people call back. I said, I smelled smoke. Well, we'll go back through the whole entire house again and look. But just because it's a small, little, tiny smell, and it's because there was a fire in their house, it's in their mind too.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a mental thing. You haven't smelled it for 2 years, all of a sudden you smelled it again. You're having a little flashback kind of. Just a memory. So, yeah. But it is what it is. So, can't change it. So, keep us in mind if you want to do something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right?
I will.
I appreciate it.